I would love for them to tell me the truth, but I don't think I'll ever get it.
A grieving mother wants justice after her son's death. We break down the latest developments in the case and how she's a step toward closure. Police officers jumping from department to department, a story our 11 Investigates team has been tracking for months. Now one of those officers is in trouble again. John?
And tracking some rain chances as well as a gusty breeze for your Halloween evening, followed by a cool down. I'll have that early November outlook coming up in just a bit. Dan.
Welcome into WTOL 11 News on Plus. I'm Dan Cummins. Thanks for joining us on this Halloween night. Let's take a look at our top stories. A mother is calling for justice in the death of her teenage son. The 19-year-old who had developmental disabilities died tangled in a harness inside a transport van 7 months ago. Now, a caregiver has been indicted and will soon face a judge. Silver Barker has that story.
He had 2 caregivers assigned to him, and due to actions that both of them decided to do that day or not do that day, this incident happened and he's gone.
Deanne Kleinhans says she wants both people responsible for taking care of her son Ethan charged. The Lucas County Coroner's Office ruled his death a homicide and the cause of death asphyxiation due to neck compression. Now, 7 months later, one of the caregivers has been charged.
The criminal process is slow, but I don't plan to give up until all of my questions are answered.
A Lucas County grand jury indicted Jeffrey King for failure to provide for a functionally impaired person. Ethan's mom says although the case is moving forward, she believes the other caregivers should also be held responsible.
If you are on the clock and you are working, never is it okay to not be paying attention to what's going on, regardless of the amount of care that that individual needs.
That second caregiver has not been publicly identified. And Deanne says she hasn't been told what evidence was presented to the grand jury.
I feel like we've at least made some steps, which is good, but progress is definitely slow.
We attempted to get a hold of Jeffrey King to get his side of things. We went to an address listed in court documents, but no answer. King worked for ViaQuest at the time of Ethan's death. The company tells WTOL 11 he is no longer employed due to the incident.
People who decide to go into this line of work have to remember that these people that need your help are still people, and they still have families, and they're still important to their families.
King will be in court for an arraignment November 13th. We reached out to Lucas County Prosecutor's Office for comment. A spokesperson says the prosecutor does not want to provide any comments as the situation is still under investigation. Ohio tow truck drivers are being added to the list of people trained to administer naloxone in situations where first responders have been exposed to a dangerous drug or if a motorist has overdosed. Tow truck drivers can now be equipped to help by administering naloxone, most commonly known as Narcan. Training has already begun in Wood County and typically takes about 30 to 45 minutes.
Essentially what we wanted to confer with the Ohio Department of Health about was whether or not we could expand our understanding of the first responder community to include not just the first responders themselves, but also the individuals who support those first responders in the field, like tow truck drivers.
Project Dawn, or Deaths Avoided with Narcan, is to equip the community with life-saving naloxone to be able to save someone who has overdosed or otherwise come in contact with a dangerous drug. In February, our 11 Investigates team released a series of stories focused on officers who get in trouble, then jump to other departments. Now, one of the officers is under investigation once again. A Henry County Sheriff's report states a fight broke out at the home of Jordan Worley, who is currently a sergeant in the Fayette Police Department. An alleged victim claimed Worley grabbed his face, shoved him into a car, and also grabbed his girlfriend's arm. Worley was charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor assault. He's pleaded not guilty. Fayette has placed him on administrative leave pending an investigation and the outcome of his court case. Well, turning to unemployment, let's get a look at the numbers in the Buckeye State right now. Ohioans filed more than 6,000 initial unemployment claims last week. That was a little under 600 claims week before. A portion of those have been flagged to make sure they are not fraudulent. As for continued unemployment claims, more than 42,000 Ohioans filed claims last week. This was almost 2,000 fewer than the week before. Ohio's unemployment rate in September stood at 4.5%, which is above the national rate. Renting your home or apartment can come with troubles sometimes. If you want some legal advice on what to do, there's a Tenant Tuesday for military veterans. You can get help on issues like landlord disputes, lease concerns, rent escrow questions, and more, happening November 19th from 9 to noon at the main library downtown. Those who attend the event will get to spend 20 minutes with an attorney. Registration required. If you want to sign up, head to WTOL.com. October can bring anything, temps from the 70s down to the 30s, or even conditions from sunshine to snow. With Halloween festivities at their peak tonight, you might be wondering what kind of weather is typical for October 31st. Meteorologist John Birchfield compares this year's warm and wet Halloween to those in the past. John?
Well, Dan, the snow is certainly not typical for October 31st, and you may remember very vividly trick-or-treating last year to snow on the ground. 0.7 of an inch of snow officially made that the snowiest Halloween on record. Now, this year's Halloween, not exactly normal either. We were close to a record high temperature today, with temperatures officially topping out at 77 at Toledo Express Airport. The Halloween record sits at 80, and that occurred on October 31st of 1950, just shy of that record from one extreme to another. We have also had exceptionally rainy Halloweens. 2013, 1.2 inches. You may remember that one vividly. It can also be cold on Halloween. The coldest nighttime low temperature set back in 1988 at 16 degrees. It is going to be a windy remainder of your Halloween evening with those wind gusts to 40 miles an hour. And we have seen some blustery winds over the course of the early evening, including Toledo and Findlay, close to 50 miles an hour, Ottawa 47, Sandusky and Wauseon also over 40 miles per hour. The winds are going to calm down and it will turn cooler. I'll have that early November weather outlook in just a bit. Dan?
John, thanks. For 30 years, trick-or-treaters in Bedford Township are used to hearing a siren go off to give them the green light to go get candy. But this year's a little different. Bedford Township Fire said they had sirens specifically the holiday, but got rid of them due to cutting costs. The fire chief says the department has gotten calls from people in neighboring areas that they don't like the sirens going off, especially as storms roll in on this Halloween night. The chief says they don't want to startle anyone.
The sirens reach a long area, so if our residents knew about it, surrounding residents may not have known about it, so they hear a siren and could be panicked from that.
Even though the future of ever having sirens again isn't clear, the chief says they are having fire engines in neighborhoods to hand candy out tonight so the kids can have a sweet and safe Halloween. Hey, speaking of trick-or-treaters and Halloween, your kids will come back with gobs and gobs of candy, right? So what do you do with all of it? Well, you can share your candy haul with others and get paid for it. Frankel Dentistry holding its yearly candy buyback and then donating it to local organizations who support the troops overseas. You can get $1 for every pound of candy. You can bring your candy to any of the 3 Frankel Dentistry locations beginning tomorrow through next Friday. Gibsonburg Schools wants voters to say yes to a levy renewal and increase. Gibsonburg school officials say the district is in need of money, so if this district levy does not pass, they can make improvements that are needed. The current $1 million permanent improvement levy expires December 2024. If passed, the renewal with the increase would cost owners of a $100,000 home $46 a year. The passage would give the district about $219,000 a year.
We know that this is a sacrifice to our families, and so we are pledging to provide a plan for what repairs and upgrades would be made with those funds in the coming years.
The district says this proposed levy is on a continuing basis and will not need to be renewed again. Alongside flyers for different political candidates, people are getting report cards showing whether or not they voted in previous elections. One card sent by the Ohio Democratic Party tells voters they will be interested to see whether you vote or not. But is that allowed? According to the Department of Justice, federal law prohibits threats and coercion throughout the voting process. Since the flyers don't tell people to vote or who to vote for, this is all legal. All the information on the cards are in the public box. New information into the public FBI investigation surrounding a suspected arson attack at ballot drop boxes in Oregon and Washington State. Law enforcement confirms the devices used were marked with the words "Free Gaza." In Washington, investigators are searching for a motive tonight after an unknown number of ballots were destroyed. FBI officials took both devices to their lab in Alabama for forensics. They're also searching for a male suspect driving a dark-colored Volvo sedan seen in the video. Portland police say they believe he may have some type of metal working experience based on the welding on both devices. You may have heard the phrase, "If you're in line, stay in line." It's a reminder for voters they still get to vote, even if long lines cause them to still be waiting for their turn after the polls officially close. Is that reminder actually true? Let's verify.
Election Day is Tuesday. In most places, the polls will close between 6 and 8 p.m. local time. But what if you get there right before closing time and there's a line? Can you still cast your ballot? Let's verify. Our sources: various state laws and elections officers, the Bipartisan Policy Center, and the American Civil Liberties Union. The answer is yes. If you are in line before the polls close, you have a legal right to vote. Even if you're still waiting after the official closing time, no one can turn you away. Election laws are almost all written by states. For instance, this one in Arizona, quote, "Any qualified voter who at the moment of closing is in the line of waiting voters shall be allowed to vote." Every state we looked at had a similar law, and many state and local elections officers reiterate the point in their voter outreach. The ACLU's voter rights guide says, quote, "If the polls close while you're still in line, stay in line. You have the right to vote." Now, if you get to the polls after they officially close and you still see a line, you're not allowed to join it. You have to be in line before the polls officially close. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
For more information on the election, we can send the WTOL 11 election guide right to your phone. All you have to do is text VOTE to 419-248-1100. Once you text that number, we'll send you everything you need to know about the election and issues on the ballot to early in-person voting hours. Despite a judge's order, Tesla founder and ex-owner Elon Musk did not appear in a Philadelphia courtroom today. It comes after a district attorney sued him over his super PAC's plan to award $1 million a day to voters in key battleground states in the upcoming election. Musk's attorneys filed documents yesterday in federal court requesting the matter be moved to their jurisdiction and out of the local court of common pleas. A judge granted that transfer. The district attorney says they proceed to federal court and address issues there and seek to have the matter turned back to the state court. John?
Well, this Halloween looking and feeling quite a bit different from last year. You may remember the 7/10 of snow accumulation we got, making it the snowiest Halloween on record. This year, temperatures surging to the mid to upper 70s, one of the warmest Halloweens ever recorded. There are some showers moving through the area as a cold front sweeps through the region, and that front is going to bring a drop in temperatures to start off November. It's quickly racing in from the west, and it's also responsible for the uptick in the winds. That cold front has produced snow for portions of the upper Midwest, from Minneapolis to the UP of Michigan, where a couple inches of short-lived accumulation may be possible. The hour-by-hour forecast keeps a few showers in the mix through about 8 o'clock p.m. Temperatures are expected to fall overnight tonight as that front moves on through, and temperature is going to be significantly cooler to welcome in the month of November. In fact, temperatures are only going to be in the 40s to begin the morning, 50s into the afternoon. 54 your high temperature with partly sunny skies. Hour-by-hour forecast, there will be some lingering cloud cover out the door for that November 1st. Heading into the afternoon, I do anticipate some sunshine, but temperatures still going to be considerably cooler heading into your Friday. The weekend forecast will keep the sunshine around at least through Saturday, but Sunday may come along with some light and scattered showers, especially late in the day. Both of those weekend